You're listening to Emerson Whitner's NXT Report on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Emerson Whitner, and this is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, June 3rd, 2015. And tonight we've got a little bit of a newsworthy edition of NXT. Not for anything that actually happened in the ring, but for a backstage announcement by Mr. Regal. It was announced that July 4th, live, I stress that it's probably not going to be live, but quote-unquote live from Tokyo, Japan on the WWE Network will be Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor for the NXT title. I'm sure, as most of you are with me on this one, I doubt the match is actually going to be live because the match would have to air at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you're like me, you don't stay up that late to watch the G1, so chances are you're not going to be up that late to watch that. It'll probably, they may actually air it at that time, but of course, who's actually going to be awake to watch it, and they'll put it up on demand at some point. I'm thinking they'll probably just air it at 8 p.m. Eastern time to get the most number of people watching it. But that was the big news for the show. But other than that, and keep in mind, Owens didn't appear at this point on the show, or didn't appear during that announcement. There was no Samoa Joe this week. There was no appearance of Kevin Owens. You would honestly think that last week and TakeOver never happened. They actually never even said the words Samoa Joe at all during the show, except for one backstage promo, which we'll get to. Show started with Tyler Breeze and Adam Rose, a match that went 20 minutes, and now an hour later, I completely forgot it ever happened. This match was between two heels, and the fans just did not care. They did a half-hearted dueling chant at one point of "We want Kruger, no we don't," which I think is the first time the fans ever acknowledged that Adam Rose used to be Leo Kruger. At one point, Adam Rose was on the apron. Tyler Breeze did a springboard dropkick and sent Rose flying off to the ramp, which got the biggest reaction of the match, which was pretty much just, Rose at one point did the Hideo Itami running kick to the face, and the announcers didn't pick up on it, whether because that wasn't what it was supposed to be or, they're just incompetent. I think it might just be a little from column A, a little from column B. Rose actually hit the Cactus Jack running elbow off the ring apron, eliciting a Foley, Foley, Foley chant, but as soon as they got back into the ring, he was clocked with a beauty shot, and Breeze won. Tomorrow night, it's on SmackDown, it's the Kevin Owens NXT Championship Open Challenge. I don't want to spoil things for you, but you can probably guess exactly how it went if you didn't read the spoilers. In fact, I actually guessed it spot on and before the show ever happened. Solomon Crowe was the only person to mention the word Samoa Joe during the night. He was backstage and told Devin that she's not allowed to ask him any questions. He does not regret anything he did last week, and it's all right with him if Joe wants to go toe-to-toe with the champ. Crowe said he's going to be going away for a little while, but did vow to be back in the ring, and he will be in the ring with the NXT champion once again. Dana Brooke was in Rio de Janeiro last weekend to take part in an Arnold Classic bodybuilding event, and apparently did well enough that she's going to be taking part in another event in Spain this September. And they did threaten that she will be back in the near future. I wanted to make the joke that because it happened in Rio de Janeiro, it didn't actually happen, except they had photos and video proof. So, unlike with Pat Patterson and Buddy Rogers, this actually happened. Greg Last Name introduced Brian Whitner's favorite diva, Eva Marie, and Eva this might have been her first interview ever. She was brought out on stage. Who knows? It's her first interview ever, and so let's do it live. There's 500 people in the little NXT arena, and they found the one person out of all 500 that was actually clapping for her. The other 499 were just booing her out of the arena. They booed her even when she kissed all of their asses. They chanted, "You can't wrestle" at her. Several times she lost her train of thought. She put over the women's match at TakeOver in an effort to get them to pop for her. They didn't. And she said she's here to help revolutionize the business. Oh, God, between her and Dana Brooke, this may finally be what causes me to quit reviewing NXT. It's been a fun 5 years, and now I get Eva Marie and Dana Brooke on the same show. Go buy the Daniel Bryan DVD? I did. I actually bought it on Blu-ray off Amazon. This is when they announced the William Regal. This is when William Regal made the announcement regarding the Kevin Owens-Finn Balor match. Like I said, I doubt it's going to be live. Alexa Bliss, now with red tips of her hair, versus Carmella. There was absolutely nothing wrong with this match, but there was absolutely nothing memorable about this match. Alexa won with a roll-up and a handful of the ropes. Rhyno mentioned that he really enjoyed going to war with Baron Corbin, but he came to NXT to become the top competitor, and Finn Balor is the top competitor. Finn's theatrics won't phase a psychotic man-beast like Rhyno, and Rhyno promised to one day be the NXT champion. Sami Zayn did a promo from his hospital bed, vowing to be back. And then we got a match that they decided to bring back everybody that hasn't been seen in 6 months. The Vaudevillains defeated Jason Jordan and Marcus Louis. The last time the Vaudevillains were on the show was shortly after TakeOver R Evolution, when they lost to Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy, and they were that was the first time Blake and Murphy ever won a match, and it was against the Vaudevillains. Last week, Chad Gable came up to Jason Jordan and offered to be partners with him, and Jordan told him not to worry, that he had someone already in mind, and he took Marcus Louis, who hasn't been in the ring since October when he refused to wrestle Tyler Breeze because he was ugly after getting his head shaved when Sylvester Lefort lost the hair versus hair match to Enzo Amore. I wonder if he's still mad at Sylvester. Louis got his butt kicked all over the ring. Jordan did tag in and looked good the little bit of time he was in. He dropped English with a back suplex, but Louis was in for basically the entire match. He did a weird move where, as a rest hold, he pulled at Aiden's jaw. Gotch got the hot tag, and the match was over in 30 seconds. He ran in, went all manly, and the Vaudevillains won quickly with the whirling dervish on Louis, and Jordan, of course, was mad and blamed his partner after the match. The video package from about Sasha Banks aired again this week. It was the exact same one they aired last week, and at least it wasn't the same Becky Lynch promo that they've aired 4 times already. Finn Balor pinned Rhyno in the main event. This is when I noted that this week was an alternate universe NXT, no Samoa Joe, and they just ignored that Rhyno challenged Baron Corbin to a rematch last week. In fact, they all but ignored the fact that Rhyno lost to Baron Corbin at TakeOver. Theoretically, they were pushing that if Rhyno won, he'd become the top contender, but he shouldn't be in that situation. Baron Corbin should be, but it wouldn't be a WWE show without a little bit of booking nonsense, right? Rhyno looked really good in this match. Finn looked really good in this match, and the whole point was putting Finn over as a tough guy, that he took quite the beating from his much larger, much thicker opponent, and still managed to come out on top. Rhyno spent half the match mocking Finn's entrance and got a Pele kick for his troubles. Balor went for the coup de grace, but Rhyno moved. Rhyno went for a gore, but Balor sidestepped him. So Rhyno gored the middle rope, and so Balor rolled him up for the win. After the match, Balor was celebrating and walking up the ramp when Rhyno appeared from out of nowhere and gored Finn on the ramp. Of course, by out of nowhere, we mean like that little staging area to the right where they come out of the curtain. But that's nowhere, right? Well, even if it's not, that's what he did. So that's it for the show. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoy listening to my smooth tones, check out the Wrestling Outsiders podcast, Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, blogtalkradio.com/Wrestling Outsiders. Stevie J is awesome, so I'm sure he's going to provide a link to it right here on this page. If not, we're not that hard to find. Take care. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again next week.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.